Legendary tennis star Novak Djokovic will be able to come back to the Australian Open in January despite his unvaccinated status. The 20-time Grand Slam champion was removed from the U.S. on the eve of the tournament back in January after having his visa taken back. But Djokovic has been cleared to come back in 2023. We're probably going to see him in the Australian Open now. Here's everything we know. Let's take a look at how the whole issue started. Djokovic found himself at the center of a chaotic saga in Australia at the beginning of the season as he came to the country unvaccinated, but equipped with a medical exemption supplied by Tennis Australia. The world number 6 had his visa revoked and was retained in a government detention hotel before finally getting and winning an appeal to have the decision changed. But mere days later, the country's immigration minister took it upon himself to exercise his powers to take away the Serb's visa for yet a second time on the grounds that his presence would encourage anti-vax sentiment in Australia. And so Djokovic again lost a second appeal and ended up deported on the eve of the tournament. This meant that he automatically got himself a 3-year ban from coming back to the country. This is something that applies to everyone who's ever gotten their visa canceled, but it's not completely final. There's always a chance it can be reversed at discretion in an appeal. And now it appears that when the world number 6 tennis player and 9-time Australian Open champion chooses to lodge an appeal, he will be in the clear to come back in time for the 2023 version of the tournament, which will be taking place 4 months from now. As per reports by Australia's Herald Sun, Djokovic hasn't so far gotten around to filing any appeal documents, but senior government sources pretty much confirmed the decision has more or less been made to overturn his ban. Next up, a glimmer of hope. After Australia's 2022 federal election in May, a brand new government came into power. This basically means that those who made the choice to revoke the tennis star's visa in January are no longer involved with the process in any way whatsoever. That's not all. The new immigration minister, Andrew Giles, is said to have already chosen in his mind to reverse the 35-year-old's 3-year travel ban right away if and when he appeals. This news comes after unvaccinated U.S. swimmer Michael Andrew was allowed to come to the country for Australia's duel in the pool versus the United States. The move was the source of much controversy and came a mere 6 months after the Serb was deported for not being vaccinated. Andrew himself was an athlete who previously caused plenty of backlash for being allowed to compete in the Tokyo Olympics without being vaccinated. Moving on, what happens now? This decision has opened the possibility for Djokovic to be let back into the country before his 3-year ban was over, and it seems the same leniency has been given to the Serb, who will be given the option to come back for the next Grand Slam tournament after skipping the present U.S. Open as a result of his unvaccinated status. Unvaccinated foreign nationals are still not allowed to enter the U.S., whereas Australia no longer needs proof of COVID vaccination or even a negative COVID test to let people cross the border. Sadly, I will not be able to travel to New York this time for the U.S. Open, Djokovic said in a tweet mere hours before the U.S. Open draw was made before the tournament. Thank you, #NoelFam, for your messages of love and support. Good luck to my fellow players. I'll keep in good shape and positive spirit and wait for an opportunity to compete again. See you soon, tennis world. Next up, Djokovic gets an apology for the U.S. Open ban. Even though we'll be seeing him at the Australian Open and presumably also the U.S. Open in the years to come, the Serb has gotten an apology amid the reaction to his U.S. Open ban as a result of his COVID-19 vaccination status. The tennis legend wasn't allowed to compete in New York in 2022 since foreign visitors to America need to be vaccinated against COVID-19. The Serbian officially withdrew from the major on Thursday, literally just 2 hours before the draw happened, as he went to social media to let fans know. U.S. Davis Cup captain David Fish said sorry to Djokovic in a reply to this tweet. Surprisingly, there was plenty of support for Djokovic in this decision too, with many people slamming the foreign policy of the U.S. as a result. Monica Crowley, who's the ex-assistant secretary for public affairs in the U.S., came out and called the policy senseless and unfair, revealing that this is not a health issue, but rather one of control and power, and that's how it's always been. Finally, Djokovic is actually quite well liked. The law preventing Djokovic from entering and competing for his 4th U.S. Open title has been heavily criticized. It leads to many politicians demanding that President Joe Biden make an exemption to let the 35-year-old compete. You can tell how popular he is by the fact that even one of the tennis stars who was only going to benefit from Djokovic not being at the US Open slammed the decision to not let him compete. That player was world number 7 Casper Ruud. The Norwegian explained to Eurosport that his main point was just this, that the player shouldn't be handled any differently to those who have taken their vaccinations. He said he doesn't see Djokovic's presence posing any sort of threat to the public, even if he's not vaccinated. Other related news. First off, we might be seeing Rafa soon. Even though he was defeated in the 4th round of the US Open and was seriously distressed as a result, Rafael Nadal didn't let himself take much time off from the sport. The 22-time major winner is back at his Mallorca home, where he's been training for 10 days, getting himself ready for the Laver Cup. Even though there's the impending birth of his and his wife's first child hanging over his head, the Spanish player is determined to return to competition before the season's end. After undergoing an abdominal injury at Wimbledon, Nadal only got to compete in one match before the US Open. The injury was so bad he couldn't keep his form or stay in line with the other ATP competitors. At the age of 36, Rafa was at the forefront of the live ATP ranking until Carlos Alcaraz and Casper Ruud left him behind. The Spaniard was defeated in the 4th round in his match against Francis Tiafoe in 4 sets, which kept him from moving forward to the quarterfinals of a major for the 17th straight year. Next up, Świątek surprises everyone. A Polish tennis player, Iga Świątek, won the US Open women's singles title by winning against Ons Jabeur, a player from Tunisia, in 2 sets at Arthur Ashe Stadium. This means that Świątek has now officially won 3 Grand Slam titles overall, this one marking her first Grand Slam title away from France since she won the French Open in 2020 and 2022. Her 6-2, 7-6, 7-5 win against Jabeur, now ranked number 5 in the world but widely expected to rise to number 2 in the next rankings, secured her position at the top of the WTA rankings. Iga, as she has been known for the last few months, spent the last Saturday sporting a ribbon on her hat to show solidarity with Ukraine. The 21-year-old proceeded to go on a 37-match winning streak and thus became the very first female player to win 2 Grand Slam championships in the same calendar year since Angelique Kerber in 2016. As a result of this victory, Świątek became the first top-seeded woman to win the US Open since the legendary Serena Williams in 2014, and also the first woman to win 7 championships in a season since Williams in 2014. She perfected the hard court surface in 2022, bagging 4 WTA 1000 titles on it and becoming just the 4th woman to do the Sunshine Double by sweeping Indian Wells and Miami in quick succession. We wouldn't be surprised if she ends up in the same league as Serena. Finally, it looks like Kyrgios was right. It's often hard to take Kyrgios seriously. He's a great tennis player, no doubt about that, but he mostly makes headlines for other reasons, such as disruptive behavior, loud angry outbursts, and whatnot. A while ago, he was so mad that he could smell marijuana during a US Open match he was playing in, and now we have another player, Barbora Krejcikova, also coming out with the same issue, which is an undeniable smell of marijuana coming from her stands and irritating her while she played her doubles match. The chair umpire's reaction was quite hilarious. Upon hearing the player's words, Kader Nouni requested the crowd to control themselves in a way, meaning by not smoking marijuana. Aha! So there is marijuana being smoked among the US Open crowd. Kyrgios wasn't just being dramatic or making things up for once. In recent days, the event had to take some action regarding the complaints of the 27-year-old Australian and investigate just what was going on in their stands. And that's a wrap. Are you looking forward to seeing Djokovic at the Australian Open? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.